Hello everyone, welcome to Raj IAS study group. So first of all, hello Rohit, hello, good afternoon Bapan Das. I hope all of you have tuned in timely. So first of all, we have an announcement. We have organized All India Free Prelims Test Series and popularly known as Siddhi Test Series, and we have been receiving a lot of registrations. There has been a tremendous response. Thank you to all of you, and we sincerely hope we would have helped you guys in your preparation. So 2 tests have already happened and one more test is due on 1st of May. So please do register for it and avail the maximum benefits, right? So as you all know, we have started this new initiative where we discuss the current affairs related to this week's events segregated as per your subjects. Today is Friday. I am Drishti, and today we will be covering your topics related to internal security and social issues, right? Good afternoon, Rahul. So today is your class 9th. Okay, so today we are going to cover a couple of important topics considering the world scenario, the global scenario, what all has been happening all around the world, right? Your topics today chiefly revolve around your defense and the poorest of poor, the scheme for poorest of poor, Antodaya Yojana, right? So here is the index. So there have been a couple of amendments in your defense acquisition procedure of 2020. So we'll discuss that, what are the amendments, what it was, how it was introduced initially, right, and what impact it is going to have on Indian industry and India as a whole, right? Then there has been a report about the world military engagements by SIPRI, a very important organization. This is Stockholm Institute for Peace and Research Institute, right? SIPRI gives out continuous regular reports about the condition, world condition of peace and everything. So we are going to discuss how militarization of various areas has impacted the world economy. Okay. Then there was an article a couple of days in Hindu about Mission Antodaya, and there have been continuous surveys that speak about what the condition of rural people in India still is despite 75 years of independence, and how far we have come and what the way ahead should be. So we are going to discuss that in detail, including the constitutional provisions, etc. Right? So let's come to our first topic. Our first topic is why this was in news. This was in news because the government of India has amended your defense acquisition procedure 2020 in order to promote Make in India. This is what government of India has been striving for ever since Modi government came in power. So Make in India has been a big project. So the defense acquisition procedure has been amended, especially for the military procurement in India. And military procurement here includes arms and ammunition, including your fighter jets. For example, Rafale is the most popular one, which was recently acquired, right? So this sort of equipments, arms and equipments, MiG fighter jets, right? So whatever has been acquired from foreign countries, the pacts we have signed, regarding that the procedure has been amended, right? So we are going to discuss that in detail. Now let's see what the history of defense procurement has been. The defense procurement procedure was first promulgated in the year 2002. First it came in year 2002. We are just going through the timeline. Then this policy was superseded by the new policy in 2016 from October 1st of 2016, right? Then came the policy of 2020, and then again we have made amendments in it. The policy which is there is basically to the policy which is there is in place basically to define the rules and regulations for procurement of the arms and ammunition and etc., the other devices which are required by the armed forces that also includes our coast guards, particularly defining the budget sections of Ministry of Defence, right? So these are the highlights of the new policy. Let's discuss what are the basic highlights. See, this is the important point, even if you get it in prelims. The defense acquisition procedure, the amendments which have been made, it also includes the Coast Guard of India. Along with the armed forces, it also includes Coast Guard of India. Please remember that, right? So first point is everything is going to be indigenously sourced. The parts, whatever requirements, the material requirements, and as far as the manpower that can be utilized from India, everything is going to be indigenously sourced, right? Now comes your second point. Your second point is the import from foreign industry will be an exception, right? Foreign industry, if we are going to acquire anything from foreign industry, this is going to be an exception if it requires a huge capital expenditure, and even that has to be first of all signed by the Defense Acquisition Council, which is headed by your Raksha Mantri. Without prior consent, this cannot be done, right? So this is there to remember. Then there is this point of earnest money deposit. See, earnest money deposit is going to be a security bid. We are going to save up this security bid once the AON has been signed. AON greater than 100 crore rupees, and here your AON is your acceptance of necessity. AON is acceptance of necessity. Once this has been signed, which is greater than 100 crore, only the earnest money deposit will come into play, right? Then next point is acquisition cases are to be split. See, whenever a tender is passed, multiple bidders, they bid for the same procurement, same tender. So just in case the amount is too huge to be handled by one person, the acquisition cases, they will be split among various tender bidding parties, so that maximum benefit can be taken from both by the industry and by the defense personnel. Not defense personnel directly as per se, but the government of India, which wants the equipments to be developed for your defense forces of India, right? Then certification is going to be an important part of it. See, the certification is going to be everything that will be produced will be trial awarded. Pre-trials are going to take place with it. Only after they have passed the trial, the prototype which they have developed will come into market. Then there is going to be an actual very important part of IDEX framework. IDEX framework, it came in 2018, and why it is important? In 2018, IDEX framework came into play, and it was basically developed for your defense and aerospace, both your defense and aerospace. And basically it was incorporated to cut in the waiting time of projects, right? We wanted to cut in the waiting time of projects, so that was incorporated. Then the startup talent pool will be promoted. From startup talent pool, what will be done? Private players will be involved, and the various new entrepreneurs who want to work in this line, they will be promoted, and their angel investment will be promoted, and accordingly various scenarios will be set up. See, we are discussing it from UPSC point of view, but the Ministry of Defence has released a detailed PDF regarding it. So we are not going into nitty-gritty of it, very details of it, but this is the basic highlights of the new amendment policy. Then make to procedure of DAP has come into play. Here what they have done is, again, the waiting time they have reduced to 22 weeks. Earlier, from non-defined time, they have reduced it to 22 weeks. So make to procedure of DAP has been amended in this manner, right? How is it going to benefit the current scenario? What are the pros of it? It is going to promote Make in India, right? Make in India as a brand, it will be promoted. India can manufacture arms and ammunition. Right now, arms and ammunition are only manufactured in couple of countries in West, but then India will become self-reliant, and even India can use it as an industry. Why? See, military today, military equipments, not just military, just armed forces equipments, they are a huge industry in themselves in current scenario. In next slide, when we are going to discuss SIPRI, you will know how. Then it will provide us with a wider exposure. It will provide a wider exposure to Indians as well as the industry of India. The scientists of India, with collaborating with the scientists involved in this industry from West, are going to work together, and it is going to provide a wider exposure both for Indian industry and for the West. Then we are going to develop this as an industry. I have already explained how. This is going to increase India's global footing in the market manifold. Then we will be able to serve the basic needs of armed forces by ourselves. We won't have to depend or wait for the orders for a long while. For example, it happened in the case of Rafael. The negotiations happened, and the counter negotiations happened, and the deal got delayed. It got a lot of delay. So that is not going to happen if everything is manufactured in India itself. This is going to imply greater efficiency, and ultimately it is going to generate more employment in India, and hence we will be able to help our economic aspect. This is going to have a positive impact on economy of India as a whole. Right, so this is about the defense acquisition procedure amendments. If you have any doubts, you can mention them in comments. I'll clear them. Right, now there has been a SIPRI report. I've already told you this is Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. It's a very important organization body, right? And it continuously releases reports, and they have been in place in defining a lot of peace talks, etc., that have been happening in the war-torn zone all over the world. Now, what they have said is world military expenditure spending, it has continued to grow in 2021, reaching a record of, it has reached a record of $2.1 trillion despite the pandemic. Despite COVID, where all other industries have had a negative jolt, the military expenditure of almost every country has increased, and it has turned out into $2.1 trillion industry. These are the 5 major largest spenders. First one is USA, second is India, second is China, third has been India. Even India has been the third largest spender in your military, on your military budget. Then it was UK, Russia and Germany. So these have been the top spenders. The 5 largest were India and UK and Russia, which comprise of 62% of the total expenditure, and US and China, the first two, they together accounted for 52% of expenditure. So you can see the global scenario of how much paranoia is currently existing in the world regarding the arms race. Okay, let's come to the details. These are facts, you can quote them directly in your answers while writing mains. So India's, I've already told you, ranked third highest, and this was up by 0.9% from 2020 and by 33% from 2012, right? I already told you we introduced your defense acquisition policy in 2002, and if you see, considering the budget, the budgetary allocation, even this year India's budgetary allocation was 64% for this military thing from the total defense budget, right? So this much how India is spending, investing in the arms race. Now military spending in Asia and Oceania totaled around this much $billion in 2021, although no war has been taking place. See, all this has been happening because if you see in the world scenario, Syria is already war torn. Things have been happening in Afghanistan. There was a standoff in India with this China at Ladakh, Pangong, right? Stuff has been going on in Myanmar, right? Then let's address the elephant in the room, your Russia-Ukraine crisis, which recently has been happening. I'll show you the figures how after annexation of Crimea, how both Russia and your Ukraine have notched up their investments in military, and the total spending in the region was around 3.5% high. You can see these data just after the session is over. You'll get the PDF, so you can see it from there. So this is Russia's military expenditure. It increased its military expenditure by 2.9%, right? And Ukraine has increased it by a heart-throbbing amount of 72% since annexation of Crimea in 2014. So this much how the billion-dollar industry is working and revolving all around the world. The spending fell in 2021 to $5.1 billion, $5.9 billion, but it still accounted for around 3.2% of the country's GDP. See, 3.2% you're not spending on the welfare of the people, but in the process of investing in the process of paranoia, because you are afraid your borders will be attacked. So this is sort of how the world politics is right now functioning, right? China has been the world's second largest spender, first being US. I've already shown it to you in the map, and it allocated this much money, this much US dollars, right? And it was an increase of 4.7% and then 72% increase from 2012, right? So these are the facts and figures. So SIPRI is concerned about how the pandemic, despite pandemic, when people are dying, people did not have basic amenities of healthcare. The governments have been busy in procuring arms and ammunition. So this explains the dire situation of the world today, right? Now let's come to our third topic of today. Third topic is about Mission Antodaya. Why we are discussing this is Mission Antodaya basically literally means for the poorest of poor, right? There was an article in Hindu ki despite Mission Antodaya, we cannot let it fall. Despite the current performance of what has been there, we cannot let it fall, right? So we have to discuss this. Let's see what Mission Antodaya defines. It defines inclusive India. It is a pro-poor scheme. It was announced in the budget of 2017-18. It aims to bring 1 crore households out of poverty and to make 50,000 gram panchayats. Sorry about that. To make 50,000 gram panchayats poverty free by 2019, but clearly we still not have been able to achieve it, right? Okay, the nodal agencies for Mission Antodaya are Ministry of Rural Development and Ministry of Panchayati Raj. Okay, please remember this: Ministry of Rural Development and Ministry of Panchayati Raj. These are the nodal agencies, nodal ministries for Mission Antodaya. So why in news article, I've already told you what the article basically defines. With the right momentum, the Mission Antodaya can help to transform rural India in terms of development and social justice, right? This is the infographic I've directly taken from your press release from Ministry of Rural Development. They've released a proper, I guess, 50-page detailed report, so I've taken it from there. This defines what is Mission Antodaya. So Mission Antodaya is an accountability and convergence framework for transforming livelihoods of rural people giving out measurable outcomes, right? Just in case you're not able to read it right here, you can find it in the PDF. We'll share this in the Telegram link, and the link you can find it in the description box. Okay, so our first point here is convergence and saturation. Your convergence platform include convergence of program schemes with households and gram panchayats as basic units, right? The basic units are going to be your households, very small households, and gram panchayat. We are going to have simultaneous interventions to tackle multidimensional poverty. Multidimensional poverty means you can be landless, you can be shelterless, you can be educationless, you can be at the same time you can be struggling for your health needs, your social needs, etc., financial security. So this what is comprising, this is what comprises of your multidimensional poverty. Then many departments, they work together, they come together to help uplift the people from their current dire state. The second is the focus on raising their income through raising social capital with the help of self-help groups and making people self-sufficient so that they can earn their livelihoods with dignity and lead a respectable life. Then third point is our institutional strengthening. We are going to strengthen the Panchayati Raj institutions. Panchayati Raj institutions, we are going to bring civil society groups, NGOs, etc., so that they can train people and hence can help them out, so that they have the strength to build themselves up and not depend on any government schemes per se, not look up to government to provide their basic needs, right? Then fourth point is your integrated monitoring dashboard. So here we are going to measure the outcomes with a baseline indicator. Baseline indicators, they have been set according to the current conditions, and then we are going to measure their outcomes based on that, right? So why is Mission Antodaya important? So this is a data, how much the government of India has spent, you can read it. The important point here is, even this I have taken from the same press release, convergence, it is going to reduce poverty and it is going to raise income. Women self-help groups, the chief example, the thriving example is of Lijjat Papad industry, how it started and how it has made women all over India self-sufficient, right? Now we are going to develop islands of excellence. Islands of excellence example is more Hivre Bazaar. Hivre Bazaar is a burning example, which is a small village in Ahmednagar district of Maharashtra. It's a village, mind it, it's a village which was on the verge of destitution, destroyed, but the people of village worked amongst themselves, they worked on their social resources, their natural resources, etc. And right now the village comprises of 54 millionaires. So Hivre Bazaar is a standard model village example, model village which we want to replicate as islands of excellence all over India through Mission Antodaya, because if they can do it, it can be done anywhere in the country. We are going to inculcate bank loans, right? We are going to promote enterprises with that. We are going to speed up the diversification of livelihood. We are not going, see, even if in a village all sorts of work are required, we need blacksmiths, we need cobblers, so different types of work as per their liking, as per their comfort, we are going to proceed it in a way that the livelihoods are diversified. Then we will be covering households as per targeted coverage, which can be Ujjwala scheme, your Saral Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, etc. We are going to drive the economic enterprise with your physical and social, both the infrastructures. Then we are going to come up with rural clusters and region specific based, right? The needs of a particular village in Vidarbha cannot be compared to the needs of particular village in Assam. So region based approach we are going to apply, right? In Vidarbha we need water, in Meghalaya we need people to be engaged in tourism, right? So as per region, as per their needs, we are going to deploy the amenities so that they can take the maximum benefit out of it. This is a data from your socio-economic caste census that happened in 2011, and this has given us a lot of details, facts and figures about the current status. So you can go through it in the PDF, right? This is basically to know, for you to analyze how much impact your government schemes, all these government schemes have helped, and what the way forward should be. Right now, Mission Antodaya, we basically need to form a cluster. What a cluster includes, here is the infographic, you can see it from here. So we are going to provide them connectivity, which includes roads, internet, your LPG, Aadhaar, information technology. We are trying to take digital literacy to the basic level of education, right? And transportation, easy affordable transportation is goal of Government of India. Then we are going to provide them power, electrification all over India, right? Ujjwala Yojana, and this Government of India has been striving even for this solar panels. Recently there has been a development in Chandigarh, right? So if you know about it, well and good, otherwise you should read about power transmission. India's focus has been on renewable energy right now, right? Housing, we have been providing with Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, both urban and rural sections. Then open defecation free, ODF, we have been promoting a lot, right? Then waste management has become an integral part of smart city planning. We are going to focus on health and nutrition because this defines the future demographic dividend of the country. Then water conservation, including rainwater harvesting and potable water, everything has been done in this line. Various Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana have been instrumental in providing financial inclusion. We are going towards education, new education policy has come, right? There has been reformations in NEET, etc., and Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan has been in place since decades. So this has been instrumental. Then women self-help groups have been of enormous help in regulating the economic activity of the country. Then well-being of the vulnerable. This particularly came out in the COVID times, how vulnerable were not able to receive the basic treatment. So this is the targeted approach. See, basically in Antodaya Yojana, we are going to target Gram Panchayat as the basic unit. So in smaller groups, it's easier to effectively approach people and help them out. So we are going for decentralization as much as is possible on the lines of the Gandhian principles. Then non-farm livelihood and multiple livelihoods. We are continuously thirsting upon that no single means of livelihood should be the core process zone, right? There should be multiple livelihood parameters available for people to choose from. Then we are also providing sports. Neeraj Chopra has been the burning example. There have been Hima Das. Hima Das came from a very rural area of Assam, and she has written her name all over the world in golden words. So this has been one of the major approaches of Antodaya Yojana clusters. And social protection for widows, old people and disabled, right? So this is how the cluster approach of Mission Antodaya works. We are going to raise the income of the deprived households. How? We are going to increase the productivity, markets, provide them markets and provide them with fair prices for their products, right? Diversification of livelihoods we have already discussed. We will be building gram panchayats as the basic units. We will leverage self-help groups as social capital. We will develop social infrastructure. We will focus on service manufacturing and value chain development so that the product that has been manufactured in a particular village properly reaches to city, and there the farmer gets its proper price. So there the proper chain, the value chain development has to take place. Infrastructure has to be developed. Then there should be inculcation of technology in agriculture, right? Earlier, which processes used to take 10 to 12 days, they have been reduced to hours. So technology and in infrastructure has revolutionized the whole process. And skilling ladder, we have to work on the basic skills of people so that our unskilled labor can turn into an asset when they know the details of what they are doing, right? Now let's see why this article came, what is the background. So as per the socio-economic caste census of 2011, around 8.8 crore of households are poor. Poor in what sense? In multidimensional deprivations. I've told you how multideprivational poverty works. They can be shelterless, landless, households headed by single women, SC, ST, right? Or they can be disabled member in the family. So there can the poverty, the deprivation can be multidimensional. This is how, and even these are a limited number of examples, right? Now what we require is we need targeted intervention. There cannot be one size fits all approach. Some people who have like disabled people in their house, their needs are going to be different from a household which has a single member or widow in the family, right? So we have to come up with targeted interventions, and government schemes have to work together in a single phased manner so that maximum benefit can be reached both socially and infrastructurally, right? Now there was an annual survey. Why it was important? It helped to assess the gaps at gram panchayat level, and as per what the mission is, the data was collected in various villages regarding 29 subjects and was assigned to gram panchayats as per the 11th schedule of India. 11th schedule, I hope you have read in the Constitution of India. And the data, it dealt with health and nutrition, social security, governance, your water management, etc., etc. On all these subjects the data was collected and certain results were obtained. Now came why there was this need for Mission Antodaya. The need came to identify the gaps in basic needs at the local level. How? We integrated them with the help of voluntary groups, self-help organizations, and then to finance their needs and ultimately their capacity building so that their conditions can be improved. Our basic target was to foster their economic development and interjurisdictional equity, right? So this is what the need for Mission Antodaya basically was. Now let's see, after the survey, what infrastructural gaps were found in current plan of Mission Antodaya. The survey was conducted in 2019-20 for the first time, right? Earlier we discussed socio-economic caste census that happened in 2011. This survey was conducted in 2019-2020 and it collected data which showed the condition of 2.67 lakh gram panchayats comprising of 6.48 lakh villages and with around 1.3 billion people. So this was your sample survey. These were the people where data was collected, and the maximum score values, they were assigned with the intervals of 100 to 10, right? So this was the baseline indicator, and here comes the performance. It's a sorry state, right? So no state in India falls in top score from 90 to 100, and around 1484 gram panchayats, they fall in the least bottom category of the survey. Even in union territories, if we take minimal score range of 80 to 90, the only sort of okayish performing state was Kerala. Kerala is one of the most progressive states of the country. It achieved 100% literacy way while ago, right? And even in the case of Kerala, it was as low as 1.09%. Even when we consider Kerala, we have eliminated a couple of indicators, right? So even Kerala's performance cannot be considered up to the mark, but Kerala was the only state that sort of qualified for the indicators. The composite index data, which is sort of a surrogate for human development, right? Even they are not encouraging. Their results were very poor. So this has come up now that the composite index, sorry about that, the composite index has shown that building economic development and social distance, building economic development and social justice, it has not appropriately been achieved by the government of India despite 30 years of decentralization, reforms and nearly 75 years of independence, right? So this is what the current condition is, and the current survey has brought up a lot of questions that why we have not been able to work for the people of the country, why we have been talking about poorest of the poor ever since independence, but still there has been no improvement in their condition. Right now, the article also suggests a couple of things that can be done. There are few standard things that can be done, like eliminating corruption, checking black marketing, etc, etc. But there are a couple of things that can be done which are not your mainstream areas, right? Indian Constitution, it already mandates the local governments as per articles 243G and 243W to form policies for economic development and social justice of the rural areas, especially the village areas, right? So it has been a constitutional mandate. Now we have to work properly on the convergence of resources, because there are schemes with Ministry of Health, there are schemes with Ministry of Panchayati Raj, Ministry of Rural Development, Ministry of Water and Sanitation. So and all these schemes are put forward for rural people, right? So we have to make it sure that appropriate convergence happens of all these ministries, and hence the program that has been put forward is there so that the people can attain maximum benefit from this. We have to deploy the data to India's fiscal federalism. The federalism has to be competitive as well as cooperative, right? It has to be competitive in the sense of constructive competition, not dragging each other down. So we have to deploy the data towards fiscal federalism so that accordingly the funds can be allocated and maximum work can be done for the poorest of poor. Then we need strong policy interventions. We have to check what programs are working, what are not working, where the requirement of improvement is there. So after that we need strong policy interventions, right? So this is about Mission Antodaya. We have discussed 3 important topics today. I hope you guys don't have any doubts. If you face any difficulty with any of the issues, any of the topics, you can mention them in comments. I'll try taking them up in our next lecture. Prelims are just around the corner. Stay tuned in. Keep learning, keep watching. Thank you so much. Okay.